Hey, comic nerds! Welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. This week we're going to be going over Troll Lords, a 1987 comic from True Studios, a little comic book company. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. I produce a 12-page, full-size, full-color comic with a glossy cover, and I do this for my patrons. You can check these out at patreon.com, and it's just $3 an issue per month, and you also get a sticker. This is the Queller story, and the cover this month is by Adam Yeater, who does Blood Desert Comics, and it's pretty awesome. So you can get this, like I said, at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin, or you can go to alexanderturbin.com, and it has all the back issues and some Mutandis and Forlorn and all kinds of other stuff that I've done back in my career. So if you want to check that out, please do. Or you could just message me at Instagram at alexturbin04401 at instagram.com. Anyway, Troll Lords. Troll Lords is one of those comics that, like I've said so many times before in my childhood, I couldn't really get. It was an indie comic, and almost all indie comics, excuse me, were very hard for me to find early on. It wasn't until later on when I could either order them from some catalog, or when I could go to comic shops out of state, that I would really check them out. Or even really when we first got our comic book store, because it was like 3 or 4 years that I collected comics, that I got them at Mr. Paperback, our local bookstore. And then after that, I could get indie comics and stuff at my LCS. But Troll Lords was something that was always on my radar. It was kind of akin to the Miami Mice one, where I would see it in magazines or stuff like that. They were either reviewing comics or stuff like that. So Troll Lords, I don't really know anything about it, and this is actually the 15th issue. I do plan on getting the first issue to kind of try to see where this comes from. I looked it up online, and I couldn't get any background information on the characters. So after 15, it actually turns to Kamiko. They stopped publishing from True Studios. I don't know if True Studios kept publishing other stuff, or it was just their own comic that they were publishing. And I didn't get any of the Kamiko. It's always going to be Comico to me, so I'm going to just call it Comico. So I don't really know the history of the Troll Lords. I don't know where they come from. I don't know who they are. My best guess is that they're a kind of an homage to the Three Stooges. They kind of look like excuse me, Larry, Moe, and Curly a little bit, and have personality wise as that too. But let's get into this. First, we'll go over the story, and then we'll get into the art and the writing. So you have this character, and she's going into a cave, and she's got a flashlight, and it's Lessons 3, Born Yet Again, and maybe Lessons 1 was the number one, the Troll Lords number 1. But she's going through this cavern. It's this cavernous cave, and it's very obvious that she's in a cave, and she's looking for these dudes, and you can only assume that they're looking for the Troll Lords. If somebody can explain in the comments who the Troll Lords actually are they from another universe? Are they like the kings of a troll world? Is it like an elfin kingdom? If you could give me some kind of background, I'd really, truly appreciate it. This is one of those times that, like the Marvel way, really you should have an introduction of the characters and what happened previously. I don't think I do that enough in my own comics, and that's really something I'm going to be more cognizant of moving forward, I think. So she finds the Troll Lords, and she's got some Chinese food with them, and it's taken her a little while. This is a very slow moving comic, and there's no action. It's all dialogue, which is it's a refreshing treat to kind of get into something a little bit more dialogue-y and a little bit less action-y. So the trolls, she finds them, and they kind of yell at her. but she's got food, so she kind of goes off to herself and sets up a place to eat. And they come by and they apologize, and they kind of get around to it. And this one troll who is particularly mean to her, he finally sniffs the food, and he comes back and he apologizes, and they're all back together again, and they're eating food. But before they eat food, this is very something kind of a little quirky. Before they eat, she demands that they say grace. So I don't know if apparently they've met death and some other celestial bodies, and they're hiding from them. I did glean that from what has happened in this issue. So it's I think that this is kind of a religious book, but it's not over the top. So I mean, there is this one grace part, but that's there's a whole subsection of comics and creators that are really religious, and it usually shows in their comics. And she's comic creator is very religious in Crusade comics. So I mean, there's a whole subsection of artists that you can follow that are very religious, and that's cool. I have nothing against that. So they're having grace, and then they're having their food, and they're talking about somebody died. I don't know if it was another troll. I don't know if it was another character. They don't really specify. And she yells at him. He yells at her, the troll lord, and she yells at him, and they just kind of go off, and she kind of storms off. And she's trying to get them to leave the cave, and I don't know, go to wherever they live. I'm not really exactly sure on that part, but they've got these fortune cookies, and they keep opening the fortune cookie, which it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool narrative technique, because each one that opens a fortune cookie, I think it has to do with their real life, and the fortunes are really true. So she, like I said, she kind of leaves, and they decide, because they want to just hang out in the cave and hide, apparently from death. There was some sort of war that they tried to stop, and I think it was a biblical war of some sort. So like I said, if anybody has any kind of insights into that, then please let me know. So they open one of the trolls opens a fortune cookie, and it says, "Every life is a miracle, every day a victory," and that makes him happy. I'm not entirely sure. I think it must reference something that's happened in the book before. So the troll, she takes off, she leaves, and she's like, "I'll wait outside the cave for a little while, but not forever." So they have a discussion as to what they want to do, and they finally leave it up to the leader to decide. And he's kind of hemming and hawing, and then he finally takes up one of the other one opens his fortune cookie. Life is the battle, love the weapon, and he apparently likes that too. So they keep going on having this discussion about whether or not they're gonna stay, whether or not they're gonna go, and it's really well done. So then the boss, he's like, "Let the fortune decide what we're going to do." He opens it, and he's like, "Well, I guess that's it." And so he chucks the fortune, and she comes back. She says that she's lost, and can they help her find her way out of the cave? And he says, "We'll do better than that. We'll come with you." And so they leave the cave. It's under a bridge, which is apropos, I suppose. And they leave the cage, and it pans back, and you kind of see, "Up and at 'em, boys." So whoever made the fortunes, I'm thinking that it's some sort of biblical thing, God maybe, leaves them the message, and they leave. So this is the final issue of True Publications, True Studios, and then they turn to Comico and Comico, and I'm not sure how long that goes. I might have to check out some more of these, because I really like the dialogue, and the story in this is pretty cool. There is a backup story of the trolls, and this is another artist that creator went to Comico. Um, I can't remember what the book was. And I didn't pick it up because I don't really particularly like this guy's art. Um, I'm sure other people think he's fantastic, but it's just not for me. So let's go through the writing and the art. Because the story was not, how shall I say, it was good, but it's really difficult to judge a complete storyline by the last issue. I really need to check out the first issue and some of the other issues to see if I really like it. But by the way this went, I have sneaking suspicion that the book is mostly plot and story driven and less action driven, which is perfectly okay with me. So the story and the writing is by, I didn't even say who it was by. It's written and illustrated by Scott Banderstadt and Paul Frick. It doesn't say who does what. It doesn't say. I'm guessing that they both come up with the stories, come up with the plot, and maybe one of them does a little bit more of the dialogue and stuff, while the other one maybe does the pencils and the other one inks. That's just a guess. It doesn't really say who splits up what work. I wish that when there are duos like this, like the Panda Brothers, I wish they would really state how the division of labor is split up, because I mean, as a reader, you kind of want to know that. As an artist, I definitely want to know that. But going back to the writing, it's very tight writing. Each of the characters, they have super voices. It flows really nicely. The plot, there's not a lot of plot there. There's just a lot of dialogue, a lot of talking about what's going on, what's happened before, what's going on, and it's really, I'm not going to say slow. It's slowly paced, which is not bad at all, because it's kind of coming to the end of their storyline and jumping into a new chapter, I suppose. So you want to kind of ease out of this slowly, or maybe they could have had some kind of big reveal or cliffhanger or something. That would have been kind of cool. But it's nice to see something a little slower ending. Reminds me a little bit of the Coen brothers, where they have their movie and it's going along, and then all of a sudden it just ends. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's how life actually is. You have sequences in your life where you do something, you go to school, you go to your job, you have so many years at that job or school or whatever, and it kind of just ends, and then it goes into the next chapter of either your school or your work or your relationship or whatever. But like I was saying, that's kind of how this goes. It's very slowly paced. But I love the dialogue, and all of the characters are very well written. There's it's not over the top. None of the actiony kind of dialogue that you see in a lot of independent comics. You have a lot of good interaction between the characters, and that's really, like I was saying in the last review that I did of the rock and roll and minor ants, where they were just like matter of factly, they have a discussion. He sits down, kind of stuff. Whereas this kind of it glides into whatever it is that they're trying to say. It's not forced. It's not meandering. It's just kind of glides into, like I said, it glides into the conversation. It's almost like if you're at a party and you're having a hard time starting a conversation and you really just feel uncomfortable. This is not like that. It makes you feel very comfortable, because even though I've never read any of these issues before, I feel like I kind of know the main character already. She's a do-gooder, good-hearted person, and like the Troll Lords, they seem to all have the personalities of Mary, Low. What are the Stooges' names? Mo, Curly, and Larry. They seem to have their personalities, and even though that's a little bit of an homage, they still kind of deviate a little bit to each one. So yeah, I mean, the writing is very good. It's very well paced, even though it's a little slow. It kept me interested. I wanted to know what was going on, even when it was a little on the slow side. I'm going to try to find another word for slow to keep saying that. But it's intriguing, and it makes me want to read more. And I really wish that I had read more. And I'm going to go try to find some more Troll Lords. Maybe there's a trade paperback of the first 15 issues. That would be pretty cool. If not, I don't think they're very expensive. I'll probably be able to get them off eBay pretty soon, pretty easily rather. The mechanic of the fortune cookies, fantastic. After each one is snapped, I mean, you see the crack of the fortune cookie, and then you read what it is, and it's like a hint as to what's going on in the next chapter of their lives. Each one is personalized, and it's not over the top like it said before. It's not like you're going to inherit lots of money or something like that. It's more like easing into a fortune, and not preaching that it is what it is. That's another thing I like about this. If this is a religious book, it's not preachy at all, which is cool. It's just kind of that's maybe what she has as a religion, and she's okay with kind of getting the guys to do what she wants to do in that one regard, where she makes them say grace. So it's really well written. As for the art, I really think the art is the best part of the book. The writing is really good, but the art is really fantastic. I'm really loving it. That's probably the main reason why I would go back and get some more of these books. I love this dry brush technique, and the harsh silhouette of the cave versus the figure and the light. I love this the dry brush, and then you have the dry brush of the light, which is a white dry brush. It's really great. Really good for a splash page too, an introduction splash page. I do wish, like I said before, that there had been something about the Troll Lords, what happened before, something like that. Maybe it would have been better over here, because you don't want to really mess up this whole design and layout of the page. Yeah, but it's really nice. I love the line work of the cave, and really the character. She doesn't have intense emotion, but actually when she does, it's really nice. But I love the line work. I love the textures. The cave texture is really nice. This is something that I would do. It's almost like a Kirby dot-esque kind of thing, but it's a little bit more overlapped, kind of like what you might see doing water as well. But it's also, I like how the page is black, so you're really getting the whole feel for the cave. I wonder if the last page is black too. Well, they changed to this gray part. But no, I think the last page is, the last page is white. So it goes from this black border and everything. That's fantastic, because it's in the cave. You want to feel a little cramped. And I am really loving this guy's inking. I don't know, like I said, what the divvying of the chores was, but I kind of believe that the inker, maybe his artwork is a little bit more refined than the penciler. Can't say that for sure, whether or not the pencils were really tight and the inker just kind of went over them. But I have a sneaking suspicion that the inker is a little bit more he's a little bit more pronounced than the penciler. The inking reminds me a lot of Matt Wagner, especially in his early work. He's got these hard feathering lines, which is really beautiful. And he's got this nice cross hatching to show a really sharp lighting effect. And really, I love the lighting effect. Look at this. Just this bag is beautiful. It does have a lot of lines, and they say that you can tell the quality of a comic artist by the amount of lines that they do, and the least amount of lines that they can portray exactly the feeling and the emotion that they are trying to put out is better, but you know, a lot of lines isn't bad either. This is really beautiful. I'm really loving the inking on this part. It really shows off the eyes of her and the whole face and the contours of the face. It's really beautiful. It then the background goes into this um, brushing technique where you spatter, you have some ink on the brush, and then you spatter it off. I'm assuming that they used some kind of masking and then did the spattering effect, which is it's really nice. It feels a little bit like later issues of Cerebus as well. Here's more of this inking, beautiful inking. I don't know. I assume that this is brush, but there could be some. The sweater looks like it might be a pen nib, and then the rest of the inking looks like it might be brush. But I don't really know. It's hard to say for a fact. I mean, it looks like it is, but you can't really tell for sure. I love the patterns of the tablecloth, and here again, just these little things, little wafts of smoke going through the cave, and her expressions, and just you know, this is just a regular woman. She's not a superhero or anything. She's not Wonder Woman. She's just a regular woman, and she's putting dinner out for the trolls, and it's really fantastic, raw emotion, and you can just get a lot from his line work, his inking, and it complements the story too. So it's really great. I'm going to look up to see if this Scott Banderstadt and Paul Fricks, if they did anything after the Troll Lords. But yeah, so Troll Lords number 15. I'm going to go back and get some more issues. I'm not going to wait to find them in the dollar bin. If I find some, I find some, but I'm going to go back and into eBay and try to find some, definitely. So let me know what you guys think, if you've read any other Troll Lords, and what you thought of the Comico reboot. I don't know if it was a reboot. Was it a reboot, or was it just a continuation of this? So if anybody knows anything about Troll Lords, please let me know. And if you guys like this kind of comment and you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'm always doing 80s and 90s, mostly indie black and white stuff. I'm going to probably start doing a little bit of Marvel and DC, but not too much. This is my bread and butter. But if you're into that, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell and the like button. And I've got over 60 videos reviewing other comics. So if you want to check out any of those, feel free. And I hope I've done some other stuff that you like. If any of you have comics that you'd like reviewed and gone over, please let me know in the comments. And before I go, I want to give this a 8. I can't give it higher than that because there's so much of the story that I don't know, and I was a little lost. I love this cover. I didn't really go into the cover. It's got some nice coloring, and it really shows kind of exactly what's going on in the comic. It's not misleading you at all, and I really like this yellow to red kind of splitting the comic into the two different sections. But yeah, I'm giving this an 8, and I'm definitely gonna go check out some more. And hope you guys enjoy this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.